Hello students, welcome to another video on the chapter heat for class 7 physics. Till now we have read about the different concepts related to temperature and heat. Today we will be dealing with the transmission of heat. So let us begin. Now when we talk about transmission of heat, I would like to tell you that heat is and heat is carried from one object to another object in different ways. It may be conduction, convection or radiation. Now today we will be dealing with conduction. For example, to explain these techniques, I would like to give you a day-to-day example. Like suppose you are in the school and your teacher passes the question paper to one of the students and asks her to pass it to the next student after taking one. So what she'll do, she'll take her paper and then pass the next bundle to the next girl, and then she will pass it to the next girl, and then the whole class will get the paper. That can be represented as an example of conduction. In convection, what is going to happen? For example, teacher calls everybody line by line, asks them to take the paper from her and leave from the other side. So what is going to happen? As there will be movement of the students from one place to another, you can call it convection. Conduction can be defined as the movement of heat energy through a solid object from the hot to the cold region without any visible movement or flow of material. So you cannot actually see any movement because the substance remains as it is. So best example of conductors are metals. Now what is a conductor? It is a material which allows the substance to pass the heat. And the materials that do not allow the heat to pass through them are called insulators. Like it may be wood, glass, plastic. These are not good conductors of heat. They are the bad conductors of heat. So we can define the conductors as substances which allow the heat to pass through them easily. They are the good conductors. As I told you, metals are the good conductors, and out of the metal, silver is the best conductor. But there are substances which do not allow the heat to pass through them so easily. So they are called the bad conductors, or in other words, we can call them insulators. How can you show this experiment? That is a very simple experiment that we can see. Suppose you are cooking something and you are using a spoon or instrument to move the food. So what is going to happen? Suppose you just leave this, and it is of a metal made up of maybe steel or iron. And what is going to happen if you leave the spoon for some time in this hot food which is being cooked at the moment? Then you will see that after some time you are not able to hold it because the heat has transferred in the substance from this place to the other place, from one end to another end. So this is the best example of conduction. That is why you might have observed that most of the time the stair that we use to move our food, to the spoons that we have, it has plastic handles or wooden handles so that the heat does not reach our hand. As you know that the wood is a bad conductor of electricity. Also children, you might have seen about the poor heat conductors which are used to reduce the flow of heat, like wood, plastic, and as I just told you, the handles of these cooking utensils, they are made up of wood and plastic. Air is also a bad conductor, or we can say a good insulator. And materials which trap air, like it can be fur, feathers, wool, etc., which trap the air between them and act as a good insulator. Also, this trapped air inside the feathers of the bird keeps them warm in the very freezing temperature. You might have seen the birds in the very cold season. They fluff up the feathers. This fluffing up is to trap the heat energy, air inside them, and to stop any sort of feeling of the cold weather. It will keep them warm. They will not feel cold. So there are a lot of applications of this good and bad conductors of heat. You have seen that many a time the cooking utensils that we made, as I was telling you, they are actually made up of some metal. because they need to be hot soon when we cook the food. But the handles, so that we can hold them, they are made up of plastic and wood, because otherwise we cannot hold them. Fur and hair in the animals, they are also the bad conductors of heat. So they keep themselves warm during the winters by trapping this heat within them. And also you might have seen people making house of mud. This mud house remains cold in summers and it remains warm in winter, because mud is also a bad conductor of heat. Also you might have seen ice box. They are generally double layered, which traps the air in between them, in between that space of the double wall, and that air does not allow the outside heat to enter the box, and the ice does not melt. There are many such more examples, like you might have seen the coils of the refrigerators and air conditioners, which are made up of copper, and they are so to conduct the heat, as copper is a good conductor of heat. Also you know mercury, which is a liquid metal. It is very sensitive and it is used in the thermometers. You might have seen the quilts, the blankets, etc. when we use them in winter. Why? So that they can trap air and keeps our body warm. And you will also see that if you use a thick blanket, instead of that, if you use two thin blankets, it will keep you more warmer, because the air trapped between the two blankets will act as an insulator. Even you might have seen the false ceilings, which are made up of plaster of Paris, and they provide a layer of air between the ceiling, and this keeps the room warm during winter and cool during summer. So this is all about conduction, the basic idea which is needed for you in class 7. I would like you to comment some more examples of good conductors and use of the conductors and insulators in your day-to-day life in the comment box. Thank you for watching.